Ambassador Karo Nakamura maintained perfect posture as the Galactic Assembly erupted into chaos around him. The holographic displays hovering above the central dais showed imagery that sent ripples of alarm through most species present. The Vectari battle fleet approaching the Nova Haven colony. Their angular vessels, bristling with weapons designed to evoke fear as much as inflict damage, had violated 3 sovereign territories already. Karo's expression revealed nothing. Not concern, not anger, not the calculation happening behind his eyes. For 2 centuries, humanity had played a careful game of restraint in galactic politics. They presented themselves as capable but unremarkable, technologically advanced, but not threatening, physically adept but not exceptional. All carefully crafted lies. The Vectari have declared their intent to process the human colony at Nova Haven, announced High Chancellor Xorix. The gelatinous Merindians' speech, sex, pulsating with diplomatic urgency. Their communication indicates they believe humans will provide excellent biological materials for their expansion projects. Karo recognized the euphemisms. The Vectari dissolved living beings into component parts for building materials and biochemical resources. Nova Haven, with its reported population of 15,000 vulnerable colonists, represented an irresistible target. The Assembly must respond with unified sanctions, suggested the Pluvorian delegate, their feathered crest vibrating in distress patterns. Perhaps offer alternative resources to divert their attention. The defensive capabilities of Nova Haven should be sufficient to delay the Vectari until evacuation vessels arrive. Added Ambassador Larry of the Volusian Confederacy, a species known for their tactical analysis. Human colonies possess standard galactic Class C defenses, correct? Karo allowed himself a small, enigmatic smile. That is what our official documentation states, yes. He tapped his neural interface, establishing a secure connection to Earth Command. The quantum encrypted channel bypassed all known monitoring technology in the assembly hall. His thoughts formed into structured code. Vectari fleet trajectory confirmed toward Nova Haven. Assembly response as anticipated. Recommend Protocol Deathworlder. The response came immediately. Protocol Deathworlder authorized. Timer set. 26 standard hours. Maintain facade until confirmation of first Vectari planetfall. The human delegation requests emergency evacuation assistance, Karo announced, his voice carefully modulated to suggest controlled concern, rather than the anticipation he actually felt. Our colony lacks substantial military presence. Around the chamber, Karo noted the subtle shifts in posture among the delegates. Relief from some that humans would not attempt a foolish defense. Pity from others for the vulnerable species about to lose a settlement. Even satisfaction from a few who had always viewed Earth's rapid expansion with suspicion. None of them understood what was about to happen. Nova Haven will comply with all Vectari communication attempts and coordinate with any evacuation vessels the Assembly can provide. Karo continued. We thank the Assembly for its concern. As Karo returned to his quarters after the session, he allowed himself a rare moment of honesty, removing the specialized exoskeleton hidden beneath his formal attire. The device had been calibrated to subtly restrict his movements, slow his reactions, and dampen his physical capabilities to match phylactic standards. Without it, his natural speed and strength would raise immediate questions among the more observant species. His private terminal chimed with an incoming transmission from Nova Haven. Governor Eliza Chen's face appeared, her expression revealing nothing to potential observers. Ambassador, we've received the authorization code, she said formally. Evacuation protocols have commenced for non-essential personnel. The coded language was clear to Karo. Nova Haven's civilian scientists, children, and those unwilling to participate in combat had already been discreetly relocated over the past week through regular transport rotations. What remained were 5,000 of humanity's most elite soldiers, disguised as farmers, technicians, and administrators. The Assembly has promised evacuation assistance, Karo replied evenly, though they estimate vessels won't reach you before the Vectari arrive. We understand, Ambassador. Nova Haven will endure until help arrives. The formal language masked the reality. Nova Haven had never needed help. It had been designed from its founding as a trap. Chen's expression softened slightly. Are you certain this is the right moment, Karo? Once this happens, everything changes. We can't go back to being just another voice in the assembly. Karo considered this, then nodded. The Vectari have attacked 3 non-human worlds already. The assembly has done nothing but debate. If we wait, they'll grow stronger, and more innocents will die. Earth Command believes the time is right. And what do you believe? Karo removed his ceremonial pendant, another device that helped mask his true biological readings from the assembly's environmental sensors. Without it, his heart rate, body temperature, and neural patterns would read as alarmingly intense to most galactic species. I believe, he said quietly, that I'm tired of pretending to be less than what we are. 22 hours later, the first Vectari landing vessels entered Nova Haven's atmosphere. The colony's responses followed standard protocols for a civilian settlement. Panicked emergency broadcasts, disorganized defense attempts, and seemingly desperate pleas for assistance. In the Galactic Assembly, delegates gathered to watch the tragic but expected outcome. Vectari conquests were brutal but swift, with minimal suffering, a small mercy they were known for. The large viewing screen showed Nova Haven's modest defense grid activating, but the antiquated plasma turrets posed little threat to the advanced Vectari warships. A regrettable loss, murmured the Cantorian representative, their luminescent skin dimming in the equivalent of a respectful moment of silence. Karo Nakamura stood apart from the other delegates, his eyes fixed on the display. The Vectari landing craft had touched down in Nova Haven's central plaza. Sensor readings showed their troops deploying, alongside atmosphere processors that would begin converting the air to their preferred methane-heavy mixture, a standard first step in their conquest that would suffocate most oxygen breathers. Ambassador Nakamura, the Chancellor addressed him gently. The Assembly extends its deepest sympathies. Rest assured, this unprovoked aggression will not. Chancellor, Cairo interrupted, something he had never done in 2 decades of diplomatic service. I recommend all delegates observe closely what happens next. It will be educational. The puzzled silence that followed was broken by alarmed chatter as the display showed unexpected readings from Nova Haven. The colony's power signature, which had been fluctuating as expected during an attack, suddenly stabilized at levels far exceeding its registered capacity. What's happening? Demanded the Vectari ambassador, his barbed appendages clicking in agitation. The human settlement should be experiencing atmospheric degradation. Karo's voice carried throughout the chamber. Nova Haven is experiencing no such difficulties. Vectari atmospheric converters are ineffective against human physiology. Earth's natural atmosphere contains 18 compounds your species classifies as toxic. We evolved breathing poison. On the display, the Vectari ground forces had surrounded a group of apparently surrendering colonists. The aliens towered over the humans, their armored exoskeletons and biomechanical weapons designed to intimidate. The lead Vectari commander extended a neural probe toward a young woman, presumably to extract colony defense information. What happened next caused gasps throughout the assembly chamber. The woman moved with impossible speed, her hand intercepting the neural probe before it touched her. In one fluid motion, she snapped the device and drove it back into the commander's sensory cluster. Around her, other colonists erupted into coordinated action, their movements too fast for several species in the chamber to even track visually. What you're witnessing, Karo explained calmly, is a Nova Haven defense force consisting of unaugmented human soldiers, standard Earth military personnel operating at normal capacity in what you would classify as a high-gravity environment. The display showed humans engaging Vectari troops in direct physical combat, something considered suicidal by galactic military standards. Yet the smaller humans were overpowering the larger aliens with shocking ease. Their movements displayed strength and endurance that defied the Assembly's understanding of carbon-based biology. "This is impossible," stammered the HFY scientific liaison. "Human muscle density couldn't possibly." "Your assessment of human capabilities has been based on carefully selected data," Cairo interrupted. "A necessary deception until now." The footage from Nova Haven shifted to show the colony's true defense grid emerging from concealed underground bunkers, weapon systems far more advanced than anything humans had acknowledged possessing. Specialized EMP arrays disabled Vectari neural networks, while targeted sonic weapons shattered their silicon-based armor. "Your species evolved on a death world," realized the Talaxian ambassador, their compound eyes widening in comprehension. "Earth isn't a standard Class M planet at all." Cairo turned to face the assembly directly. "Earth is classified as a Class X death world by your own scientific metrics, though we intercepted and altered that designation in your databases decades ago. Our gravity is 1.4 times galactic standard. Our atmospheric pressure would crush most of your species. Our background radiation levels would cause cellular degradation in 60% of oxygen-breathing species. Our planet's predators, microbes, and even some of our plants evolved killing mechanisms that would be classified as biological weapons on your worlds." On the display, the Vectari forces were in full retreat, their landing vessels attempting emergency launches. As they rose into the atmosphere, Nova Haven revealed another secret: advanced planetary defense batteries that locked onto the fleeing ships with precision that shocked the watching delegates. "The humans you've known," Cairo concluded as the display showed Vectari vessels being systematically disabled rather than destroyed, "have been restraining themselves out of diplomatic courtesy. As of today, that courtesy has reached its limit." Commander Eliza Chen watched the Vectari landing craft tumble from the sky, disabled by precisely calibrated ion pulses from Nova Haven's defense grid. Her tactical display showed green status indicators across all colony systems. The battle was proceeding exactly as simulated. "Capture teams in position," reported her second-in-command, Major Reyes. "The disabled vessels are being secured. Minimal casualties on both sides." Chen nodded. The restraint being shown was deliberate. This wasn't about annihilation but demonstration. Every moment of the battle was being transmitted to the Galactic Assembly through multiple channels, some overtly, others through backdoor access points Earth intelligence had established years ago. "Status on their orbital vessels?" she asked. "Moving into bombardment position," Reyes confirmed. "Exactly as anticipated. They don't understand what they're seeing, so they're defaulting to standard conquest protocols." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Activate Chimera Protocol." Throughout Nova Haven, carefully hidden emitters came online. To orbital sensors, the colony appeared to vanish, replaced by catastrophic energy readings suggesting complete destruction. A holographic illusion coupled with specialized sensor jamming technology humans had developed but never revealed to their galactic neighbors. The Vectari ships, believing they'd witnessed Nova Haven's self-destruction, began to withdraw from orbit. That's when the real surprise revealed itself. The supposedly minimal human defense fleet in the sector suddenly altered its signature. Patrol vessels shed their external hulls, revealing advanced warships beneath. Cargo carriers reconfigured into specialized combat platforms. Even the system's weather monitoring satellites transformed, combining into a tactical network that locked onto every Vectari vessel. "This is Commander Eliza Chen of the Terran Defense Force," she broadcast openly. "Your forces have committed unprovoked aggression against a sovereign human settlement. You will power down your vessels immediately or face disabling fire." The response came swiftly. Plasma torpedoes launched toward the coordinates where Nova Haven had supposedly been destroyed. The Vectari, realizing they'd been deceived, had defaulted to spite. "They never learn," Chen sighed. "All vessels execute capture protocols. Priority on their command ship, intact if possible." What followed was unlike any space engagement previously witnessed in the galactic community. Human vessels moved with maneuverability that defied conventional physics, their crews enduring forces that would have killed most species. They didn't maintain safe distances or rely on long-range weapons. Instead, they closed to point-blank range, using precisely targeted systems to disable rather than destroy. On the ground, Chen monitored the operation from Nova Haven's True Command Center, a hardened facility hundreds of meters beneath the colony's surface. Around her, human operators worked with the focused intensity characteristic of their species, their movements quick but precise, their decisions made in seconds rather than the minutes typical of other galactic species. Ambassador Nakamura reports the assembly is in chaos, reported her communications officer. Several species have requested emergency information about human biology and capabilities. Chen nodded. Send the prepared disclosure packages, but only the Level 1 data. Let's not overwhelm them all at once. The disclosure packages had been prepared decades earlier. Carefully curated information revealing some but not all of humanity's true capabilities. The complete truth would come later, once the initial shock had passed. Major, she addressed Reyes, prepare a security team. I want to personally accept the Vectari commander's surrender. In the Galactic Assembly, the emergency session had been running for 6 hours straight. Species with vastly different biological needs set aside their discomfort as the implications of humanity's revelation reverberated through galactic politics. Karo Nakamura stood at the center of the chamber, fielding questions that ranged from scientific inquiry to barely disguised fear. Why maintain this deception for so long? Demanded the Cerulean representative. What purpose did it serve to hide your true nature? Study your own historical records, Karo replied evenly. In virtually every case where a physically superior species encountered others, the result was subjugation or conflict. Species evolved in high-stress environments were universally feared, contained, or eliminated through coalition action. He gestured to the displays showing human physiological data, strength ratios, endurance metrics, neural response times, and toxin resistance thresholds that painted a picture not of standard sentience, but of apex predators. We chose cooperation over confrontation, Karo continued. We chose to restrain ourselves rather than frighten potential allies. Every human in galactic service has worn restrictive exoskeletons, taken dampening drugs, or undergone temporary nerve treatments to move more slowly, react less quickly, and appear less threatening. The Talaxian scientific advisor, whose species prided themselves on observational accuracy, appeared deeply disturbed. But we've seen injured humans. We've treated your wounded, studied your medical facilities. You've seen what we allowed you to see, Karo explained. Our diplomatic and military personnel undergo specialized training to mimic expected vulnerabilities. Our medical facilities maintain controlled environments where observers see exactly what our counterintelligence services want them to see. The chamber fell silent as footage from Nova Haven continued streaming. It showed Commander Chen meeting with the captured Vectari leader, a being twice her size with natural weaponry that could shred most species. Yet Chen stood comfortably in an atmosphere that should have been toxic to human life, demonstrating a biological resilience that defied conventional understanding. The Vectari targeted what they believed was our weakest colony, Karo noted. Instead, they attacked a military research station disguised as a farming community, a wolf's den camouflaged as a sheep pen. The High Chancellor finally spoke, her voice resonating with the formal tones reserved for historic declarations. The Assembly must reevaluate its understanding of human physiology and capabilities. It seems we have harbored misconceptions. Karo inclined his head respectfully. Earth understands this revelation may cause concern. We have prepared information packages that explain our biology, history, and technological development in greater detail. We remain committed to peaceful cooperation with all species. Yet you deceived us for centuries, pointed out the Jexari representative. We presented ourselves in a way that would facilitate peaceful integration, Karo countered. Would you have preferred we arrived at first contact, displaying our full capabilities? Would that have led to better outcomes? The uneasy shifting among the delegates provided his answer. 3 days later, Commander Chen welcomed Ambassador Nakamura to Nova Haven. The colony had already returned to its disguise as an agricultural settlement, its advanced weapons and defenses once again hidden beneath innocent-looking structures. The last Vectari vessel has been escorted from human space, Chen reported as they walked through fields being tended by soldiers who once again appeared to be simple farmers. Their leadership has agreed to reparations and non-aggression terms. "And the assembly?" she asked. Caro's expression was thoughtful. "Adapting. Some species are frightened, others fascinated. The Talaxians have requested permission to send scientific observers to Earth. Apparently they've suspected something unusual about human biology for decades but couldn't prove it. They reached a ridge overlooking the colony, its peaceful appearance belying the battle that had taken place days before." Chen removed her restrictive uniform collar, a device that had helped maintain the illusion of human frailty during official communications. "Do you think they'll ever trust us again?" she asked. "Trust must be rebuilt," Caro acknowledged. "But now it can be based on truth rather than deception. The galaxy now understands that we could have conquered rather than cooperated, that we chose restraint despite our capabilities. That speaks volumes." Chen gazed at the horizon, where the planet's twin moons were becoming visible in the early evening. And what happens when they ask why Earth evolved such dangerous humans? When they realize our predatory heritage. Caro smiled. "Then we'll introduce them to dogs and cats, to show them that predators can become protectors when given the chance. We'll explain that the same evolutionary pressures that made us dangerous also made us determined to survive through cooperation and innovation." He looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. The galaxy has just discovered that it's been hosting Deathworlders in its midst for centuries, and somehow civilization didn't collapse. That's a powerful precedent. "For what?" Chen asked. "For the next revelation," Caro replied cryptically. "Earth wasn't the only Deathworld to produce sentient life. We've located 3 others already, species hiding their true nature just as we did, for the same reasons. Perhaps it's time for all of us to stop holding back." As night fell completely over Nova Haven, the colony's true nature once again hidden beneath its peaceful facade, humanity's representatives contemplated a galaxy forever changed by the simple act of revealing the truth that sometimes the most dangerous species can also be the most determined to create peace, precisely because they understand the true cost of war.